I am going to call this meeting of the Cedar Falls School District Board of Education to order. We have a brief session, but I do have a quick statement to read. And that is that a governmental body may conduct a meeting by electronic means only in circumstances where such a meeting in person is impossible or impractical, and only if the governmental body provides public access to the conversation of the meeting to the extent reasonably possible. The place of the meeting is the place in which the communication originates, and the meetings of the minutes shall include a statement explaining why the meeting in person was impossible or impractical as pursuant to Iowa Code 21.8. And this is a special meeting, a brief special meeting in which we have people traveling around, and so therefore we're going to do this electronically. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to Danelle. Is that right, or Andy, you're going to do that?
That's okay. Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, we have Maggie Berger here with Sphere Financial, and she will be going over the packet in which we had for our bond sale this morning.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for having me. We forwarded out the what we call our award packet. Myself and Danelle and our superintendent and a few other people joined us this morning to watch the bidding, which took place from 9:30 till 10 a.m. As you can see from the front of the letter, we did take 3 bids, or we did receive 3 bids. Just to give us all a little bit of anxiety, maybe a heart attack, those bids did not come in until the last 2 minutes of the 30-minute sale period, which is pretty common for a large deal like this. But we did take bids on the $69,900,000 of general obligation school bonds, Series 2022. We are recommending the low bid from Citigroup Global Markets of Los Angeles, California, at 3.9781%. We're very happy to see this this low bid at 3.97. JP Morgan also was there at a 4.06. Wells Fargo was there at a 4.08. They did provide you a small premium, about $136,000 in premium, which I think we've discussed before. There's a difference between what the bonds will resell at and the interest rate that the market is basically generally at today, and that is what generated a premium on today's bonds. In our packet, we did go through the necessity of having 2 ratings, again, based on the size. There are some portfolios and some investment managers that can take an S&P rating, cannot take an S&P rating, same with Moody's. So we did use both of those. As you were rated before, the S&P or Standard & Poor's has assigned an A+ rating. So in the single A category to the Cedar Falls Schools District. We have done some highlighting in this packet, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but things that can lead to a downgrade for a school district are a lowering of reserve funds. They always say that if reserve funds go down, that could lead to a downgrade. They talk about good management practices. They talk about how you do a very good job. Both rating agencies mentioned how you do a great job of your long-term projections. Moody's was also very, very interested in the amount of information you as a board receive from Danelle and the information that is given to you on a monthly basis at those meetings. So we have the S&P rating here, good information, good section of metrics there. And then we go into the Moody's rating. I do want to report that Moody's did downgrade the district from their AA2 rating to the AA3 rating. So keeping you in the AA category, their real reasoning was the doubling of debt and the fluctuation in reserve fund. We had a very good conversation with them on the phone before they went into committee to decide this rating. And the real reason for your fluctuation or your, we'll say, lower end reserve funds was you were planning for this project. And we wanted to make sure that you were not exceeding, property tax rates as you were talking to the voters about voting in this project, getting ready to prepay this project. We believe that will stabilize a little here in the future, and that was the indication that we provided to them. They do give a good amount of information as well in their report And I just want to note at the end of their report, you scorecard out in a single A category, just like the S&P rating. And we did hear from Moody's to say, there's no possible way you're going to end up in the single A category. They think you definitely are a strong AA. They also left it with the idea that there's probably room for a assigned rate to go up in the future. Again, as time goes on, valuation, as you pay some of this debt off, because basically you are tripling the amount of debt that you had outstanding in general obligation debt. And that's really the debt that's being rated. We then go ahead and we give you the information on the bid and bidders sheet. And this has your logo on the front of it. And basically all of the bids that came in were 4% all the way down, with the exception of Wells Fargo Securities. They did stick a 5% coupon in the very last maturity. That is what you planned for in your budget after we had that discussion. And again, with the amount of premium, the $136,000, that's what brought the interest rate down to the 3,9781%. Total interest, you can see is pretty significant on 69.9 million. You will, from the last page of our report, you will have the option to call these bonds in early. June 1st of 2031 is the call date. So about 9-10 years from now, at that point in time, you would be able to refinance the bonds to a lower interest rate. You would be able to pay part or all of them off at that point in time, or anytime thereafter, you would be able to take that action. So again, if interest rates are lower than the 4% at that time, we would recommend, probably a refunding for general savings on that bond issue. With that, I would answer any questions that you have, but we would recommend this afternoon that you would award to Citigroup Global Markets of Los Angeles, California at the interest rate of 3.9781%.
Any questions from board members? I have a couple follow-up questions. So when we did our original budget, as part of our bond vote, what interest rate did we use when we did our projections? Do you remember to know?
So I will clarify. So when we originally ran rates for you guys as part of the budget on this project, I did pull that, and it's 4.7888. So we were anticipating, but that was back in 2018 as we were heading into 2019. We were anticipating that it could be as high as 4.78%. As part of your current fiscal year 23 budget that you set rates at, you set them at a 4% all the way down. So actually our number today, the amount of interest and principal due in fiscal year 23 exactly aligns with the amount of principal and interest that you will have coming in fiscal year 23.
Yeah. So from a global perspective, as far as when, and obviously, I mean, if anybody here can project interest rates, they shouldn't be on this call. But when we projected it back when the vote took place, we did our projections, and what we showed to the community was based on an assumed interest rate in the projections of 4.78. And we are here today with slightly under 4%. So in that respect, we're better than what we projected when we took this out to the community and the community voted on it. Is that a fair and accurate statement?
Yeah, and I can answer that a little bit too, Jeff, that when we gave the projections during the bond process and the presentations, we are about 42 or 43 cents less per assessed evaluation per thousand than we gave at that time. So, and some of that's due to the anticipated interest rate, the growth in evaluation, and the sharing of that across that evaluation. So yes, we are better off than what we had projected when the bond was passed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's great and important. So we've got an increased tax base which will lower the burden on individual property owners, just because we've got a better base to spread it across. We've got a lower interest rate than what we had originally projected, which will help out. I mean, yeah, hindsight being 2020, if we could have pulled this off 6 months ago, but like unfortunately, like I said, if anybody here can project where interest rates are going, they really shouldn't be on this call. So I guess I'm feeling. I mean, I'm feeling like it really sound good work, Maggie, Danelle, Andy, on taking this out and doing all the hard work with the rating agencies and that type of thing. Does anybody else have any other questions or concerns on this? Or go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, if I can just add one point too, I would say probably 8 months ago, we were still thinking that we were going to sell in August of this year. And with the changing dynamics, we sped that up to sell now, mainly to try to take advantage of the interest rates where they currently set versus where they may be 3 months from now. So that's just another component involved with this.
Yep. No, understood. Understood.
Yeah, so just a comment that I would have is, first of all, good job moving it up to try to beat the interest rate rise that we know is coming. The Fed has been very clear about that. And I guess the second comment, maybe question, is the budget that we approved, I think, a few weeks ago or a month ago. What I'm hearing is that we don't expect any deviations from that.
That would be correct.
We anticipated that the interest rates, at least what we projected at the time, would come in about 4%, not knowing specifically what the second Fed increase would be, but knowing that there was likely a second Fed increase in the window from when we approved the budget to today. Again, due to, I think, Maggie's expertise, we're able to be in that right window.
And this is many years in the planning, and I think we at one point in time, had we been able to do this 2 years ago, it would have been different. But I agree that I think we hit the market at the right time. We're very happy to see 3 bids. 3 bids are fantastic for this size, because do remember, this is a lot of money, and that one underwriter who is buying it in the primary market has to come up with $69.9 million. To give to you, and then resell that, knowing where those interest rates are at and how the market is fluctuating in today's society.
So give us just a quick synopsis on, like, we approve this, obviously then it secures, and then when would these funds be hitting the district's accounts, and that Danelle has to figure out what to do with these sums. So
yes.
What's that look like?
Great question. So you are going to get a good faith wire today from Citigroup. So they have to wire 2% of the bond proceeds today. That's good faith wire. So you will be getting that today. At this meeting, you will take action and lock everything in. So interest rates will be locked in. The winning bidder will be locked in. They will start to fill tickets for orders. On May 23rd, at your meeting, you will take additional action, which means that is where Beth Grove's office, Allers and Cooney, your bonding attorney, they have filled in all of the blanks, and there will be lots, Chairman, for you to sign and for Danelle to sign, and probably the superintendent, lots of documents to sign after that meeting. That just kind of fulfills all of the needs. It gives the underwriter the ability to, give all of their information, things like that. And then June 7th is the day of the bond closing. So Danelle will have these funds in the account on June 7th. And as we've spoken, and she's very prepared, you'll probably see some investing of those funds. You cannot exceed the arbitrage rate on these funds, but you will be able to invest these funds until you spend them. And just so you know, the arbitrage rate on this is about a 3-point. Let me get my get a little bit bigger here so I can see it. Your arbitrage rate is a 3.8901%. So as the investment rates rise, you should be able to get some of these dollars invested. Now, whether or not you'll get it up to that level, but as investment rates rise, you should be able to invest some of these dollars.
And Danelle, what is the spend down kind of timeline that we're looking at?
Yeah, we will have this spent down by the time the building is open, so anticipated of.
And
August.
barely hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. August of 24 is when we anticipate the funds to be spent.
And there's a whole legal Iowa code, federal code requirement as far as what our window is, what our arbitrage rate is, investment versus where we receive these bond rates at. So we will certainly be within those windows.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, I got just a real quick question, and this kind of circles back to what we were talking about earlier with timing and whatnot. Is there a reason that we proceeded with the sales tax revenue bonds first and then now the general obligation bonds? And if there was, just refresh me what the reasoning behind that was.
Yeah, yes, I can answer that. And Maggie can certainly chime in too, but the GO-backed property taxes typically will generate a lower interest rate. Those that are based on state revenues are going to have a higher interest rate typically. So we did that first, knowing that we wanted to capitalize that interest rate at that time, but also knowing our spend down time frame, we needed that extra, those dollars at that time to jumpstart the project to be able to move to where we're at now. And then this sum, and we had originally talked potentially doing the sales revenue bond and then splitting this into two different parts with maybe a 30 million and a 39 million or some variation. But again, as we started to see the market change, we knew to do this in one large bond made more sense, so we could hopefully, because we can spend that money down with where we're at with the project.
That was a great explanation. You know, part of it was we had to also get kind of a timeline from your architects, your contractor. And as we worked through all of that, that's where we kind of pieced it together to know when you needed funds and what was going to be the best funds. We anticipated interest rates to go up. We just did not anticipate them this quickly. And so again, that's part of the reason we talked about moving it ahead. Also, I think there was some pre-spending done and some pre-ordering done. And so we knew we were going to need these funds a little sooner than later, which is actually working to your advantage.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question. Any other questions? The one thing that obviously we should all know from our community standpoint is one, thank you to our community for approving this. The other thing is that this does mean that because of the timing that it will show up on September tax bills for everyone within our school district. So that will be showing up on people's tax bills in September. I guess the good news out of that is, one, as we've already mentioned, the tax base has broadened, so it lessens it on each individual property tax owner. And plus we got an interest rate that was better than what we originally projected when the bond passed. But everyone should know that in September, they will see the impact of this bond sale on their property tax bill. So seeing no other questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District Board of Directors adopt the resolution directing the sale of $69.9 million of general obligation school bonds, Series 2022, as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Seeing no further discussion or comments, we'll move to a vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, this motion is approved. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work to make this possible. A big day, be an even bigger day when we inaugurate our new high school.
Thank you very much for listening to me through all these years. I really do appreciate it because it has been a long time for those of you who were on the board when we started these conversations, which was well before you asked the voters for this. So thank you very much.
Yep. No, thank you for all of the hard work again from you, Maggie, Danelle, Andy, all the business staff. A lot of data has to go through to make these presentations and present it to these rating agencies. So thank you, everyone. So if there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I don't know who said that.
That was me, Brenda.
Brenda.
Okay, sorry, Brenda. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Susie. All right, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Oh, same sign, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.